plenty of blame to go around after a gut-punching loss. Mike Petraglia inside Paycor Stadium. Here on Sunday, the Bengals made up a 27-17 deficit in the final 3.5 minutes, only to let it slip away, 30-27, when the backup place kicker Matt Amendola kicked a 31-yard field goal at the gun. The Bengals fall to 5-4. They see the end of their winning streak. It ends at 4 games, and now they have to lick their wounds and get ready for the division-leading Baltimore Ravens, who did lose at home to the Cleveland Browns. There is some solace in that, but now the Browns and Steelers are a full game ahead of the Bengals in the AFC North, so the Bengals solidly in last place in the division, even though they do have a winning record. But certainly it's going to be a rough week, but a short week as the Bengals get ready to go on the road for what's going to be a critical game going forward, not only in the AFC North, but for the Bengals' playoff hopes in the AFC. But here on Sunday, the Bengals fell asleep at the switch in the secondary. They allowed big play after big play, no fewer than 4 explosive plays of 25 yards or more. After the game, Cam Taylor-Britt said, "We got beat deep and cheap by their wide receivers." Noah Brown, he was amazing here on Sunday as C.J. Stroud got outside of the pocket and found him wide open in gaps in the Bengals secondary. Noah Brown finishing with 6 catches on the day for 172 yards. Really a remarkable day for the Texans wide receiver. Devin Singletary, he had a great game, 30 carries, 130 yards on the day, including a touchdown run. Bengals really couldn't stop the Texans when they absolutely needed to, and that was at the end of the game. The Bengals had erased that 10-point deficit. They got a 1-yard touchdown run from Joe Mixon, and then it was Joe Burrow over the middle to Tyler Boyd for 64 yards down to the Houston 6-yard line. Then Joe Burrow got sacked. The offense went nowhere, as they did for much of the day, and they had to settle for a 34-yard Evan McPherson field goal that tied the game with just over a minute remaining, but that was too much time for C.J. Stroud on this day. Bengals allowed 2 more explosive plays on the ensuing drive, and that led to the field goal. But on that drive, that last Bengals offensive drive, it appeared that the Bengals were going to take the lead and get a 4-point margin. 31-27 would have been the score, but Tyler Boyd dropped the pass over the middle in the end zone. It would have given the Bengals a 4-point lead, but instead the Bengals had to settle for the tie at that point, 27-27. After the game, Tyler Boyd declined to speak a couple of times in the locker room. That's sort of understandable given the emotion of this loss, but his teammates were sticking up for him. Joe Burrow, after the game, said, "We are not even in that position to get a game-tying score or a possible go-ahead score without Boyd's 64-yard reception over the middle." Tyler Boyd also had a drop earlier in the game. It was an uncharacteristic game for Tyler Boyd, but he did have 117 yards receiving on the day. What about Jamar Chase? He had a spectacular day in terms of the statistics, including a 64-yard touchdown on a scramble play, a broken down play where Joe Burrow got out of the pocket, went to his left, and threw the ball down the field across his body. An amazing play. The Bengals at that point, on the last play of the third quarter, they were down just 20-17, but again, the Bengals defense couldn't stop a nosebleed here on Sunday afternoon. And after the game, several players on defense said, "We just didn't play up to our standard." Mike Hilton said there were wide receivers running free all afternoon long. Part of that was because of the athleticism of C.J. Stroud, who really essentially messaged the Bengals by the way he was playing, saying, "I'm not going to run the ball. I'm going to constantly keep my eyes down the field and throw the ball." And that's what he kept doing with a great deal of success. Also after the game, Jonah Williams and Ted Karras both echoed the sentiment that was not up to the Bengals standard, and we've got to turn it around if we think we're going to go into Baltimore and pull out a much-needed win. Joe Burrow called it one of the most disappointing losses of his young NFL career. His 4 seasons in the NFL, this is one of the most disappointing, if not the most disappointing, regular season losses, simply because of what was at stake at the end of the game, and the Bengals could not execute. Again, a lot of support from the teammates for Tyler Boyd. He was given a handshake of, support and not necessarily congratulations, but a handshake of support and a hug from Joe Burrow in the locker room afterward. Boyd and Burrow for several minutes just sat at their locker and stared straight ahead, trying to figure out what just happened. Also on the injury news, Trey Hendrickson, injured on the last play of the game. He was slow to get up off the field, but he was seen walking through the locker room without any brace on either knee or anything on his feet. So, we'll wait and see on that. Again, it is a short week, so we'll have to see how the bodies heal. Ja'Marr Chase with a big day. He had 125 yards receiving on 7 catches on the day. Really a good day for Ja'Marr Chase, but in the end, the Bengals could not get it done. Bengals did not execute on either side of the ball in the clutch, and that's how this one ended. The Texans pull away with the win, 30-27 at the gun. We'll have complete locker room action on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@JungleRoarPod. As always, follow me online at Cincy, CLNSCincy.com, that is. And, of course, as always, on Twitter, @Trags, TRAGS. Inside Paycor Stadium, Mike Petraglia, CLNS Media.